Hi, welcome to It's Tea Time with Tirzah. My name is Tirzah Andrews, and I am your host. The premise of our show is to have inspirational conversations about being a life learner. And so I am a life learner. All my life, I've gone on this spiritual quest to find out what is real and what's not. And I know you've had some questions yourself. So today we're going to be talking about being a life learner, not being afraid of diving into conversations and topics that you don't know much of. I research stuff and I look them up and I see how it applies to my life. And I'm going to talk about some things that actually pertain to my life that I've barely explained or tried to talk about in different circles because many of us have had people think we're crazy because we've had these experiences. But in order to get into the depth of who we are as people, human beings, we need to learn how to communicate, to bring unity amongst each other. The premise of our show is to reach, to restore, encourage, aspire, create change, and help heal nations all over the world. There is such a great divide in religion and our belief system, spirituality, and we got to bring all of this together. So y'all stay tuned. Go call your girlfriends, tell them Tea Time with Tirzah is on. And if you have brothers that like to have conversations like this, hey, tell them the same thing. Listen, stay tuned. We'll be right back right after this. It's tea time, time to wash away your sorrow. It's tea time, gonna chase all your blues away. It's tea time, time to air out all your laundry. It's tea time, gonna help you make it through the day. It's tea time. What you say, girl? Okay, welcome back to It's Tea Time with Tirzah. Again, my name is Tirzah Andrews. And as I explained about the premise of our show is to reach, to restore, encourage, aspire, create change. We need change, y'all. We need unity. We need peace, especially in religion. If you haven't seen the show about church hurt, if you haven't seen the show about church hurt, I need you to go back and watch that. Oftentimes, we are divided based on our belief system. And I don't think it should be that way. I think that if we're truly people of God, that we should be able to come together and make things happen for the betterment of the world. Um, I know we have the government. I know we have mayors. I know we have good Samaritans out here. We have nonprofits. Y'all, that's not enough. We individually need to take part in doing what we need to do in order to make things better. Y'all, excuse me. We need to take time out to make things better for each other as well as ourselves. If you have something that a person needs or has that could help them potentially be better or do something that they've always dreamed to do, don't you think that with billions of dollars should be able to make things better? Okay, so being a life learner. One thing that I've learned is that everybody's not concerned about those of us that are in lower class. And that's okay. But I believe that even in the lower class, low income families, mid to low income families, we all can come together and do much, right? My journey started out as a little girl, and y'all have heard me talk about the something said. Ever since I was a little, I guess about 5 years old. And I believe that God used me to help this lady transition from life into the spiritual world. And the reason why I say that is because um, we've been taught biblical things, and I've been doing some studying and doing some research and listening to people who understands the science behind life, and it's called metaphysics. Metaphysics is about learning the science behind the mind of unity and how we come together as a people, everything that's going on in the universe, putting the science behind how everything happens. I know spiritually, being raised in the church, we've learned a lot of things, but I'm sorry to say that I feel like I was in a box. And religion is just science and belief system altogether. But we normally just look at religion as just believing in God. But we need to know why we believe in God. We have circumstances in our lives that say, well, you can't make me doubt him. I know too much about him, right? Well, that's because God has brought us through certain situations, right? Like when I had I had a stroke at the age of 26, and I had to learn how to read and write all over again. I didn't go to the hospital because I didn't know to go to the hospital. I was not here, okay? What I heard was, you're dead already. Do you want to live or do you want to die? And I said, Lord. I didn't say Jesus. I didn't say Yeshua. I didn't say none of the Yahweh. I didn't say none of that. I said, Lord, if I live, I want to live for you. And my life hasn't been the same. I was a very selfish person. I did what I wanted to do in my 20s. I was in my 20s. And even though I still did things for people, it was about me having fun. It was about, me being with a man. It was about me being able to deal with life by getting high or drinking or whatever. But I've always had this spiritual side to me that said, you got purpose for your life. So I started asking questions like, well, why am I here? Use me. But then when I said use me, and God started to use me to speak into people's lives using my prophetic gifting, I was afraid. I was afraid because people would think I was crazy. And I didn't want people to think I was crazy. But now I don't care what you think. I got to live my life purpose, because if I have to answer to somebody, I want to answer to somebody, not somebody, the Spirit of God. If I have to answer to the Spirit of God, when this whole life is over and I lay down this flesh, and if by chance I can hear, well done, my good and faithful servant, that's what I want to hear. I don't want to be stuck in this world without knowing why I'm here, why I have to fulfill this specific purpose. Now, if this is the type of conversations that you want to have, you stay tuned with Tea Time with Tirzah, because I believe that all of us have a purpose in life. Phaziz of Life International Ministries is our nonprofit organization where we provide food, clothes, and hygiene products. Why? Because I know what it feels like to have a need and it's not being fulfilled. So I'm here to fulfill the need of restoring us back to ourselves. When I grew up, we were people that looked after each other. We loved each other. We had conversations, and we don't have conversations anymore. We don't know how to communicate with each other anymore. What is the problem? We're so stuck, in my opinion, in our phones, in television, in doing whatever without talking to the person next to us, or saying hello to the person that we pass by, or just doing something. So you see somebody drop something, instead of just helping them pick it up. You know what I'm saying? Seeing somebody on the side of the road. Now, women, I'm not encouraging you to stop and help anybody on the road, except you hear the something said, the God, the higher consciousness, the Christ consciousness tell you to do something. I believe that and test it, because, sometimes we don't have our stuff clear in our minds. But I'm telling you from my own personal experience, every time I followed that something said, then I was on my path to learning what it is that I'm supposed to do here. Prime example. And I may or may not have told you all this story on my YouTube channel, Phaziz of Life, Inspiration, Entertainment. However, I was 28. I was pregnant with my second child. And I shared this vision that I had with their father. I said, I saw myself driving a school bus. He's like, girl, you ain't gonna drive no school bus. That did something to me. That let me know, point number one, is you can't share your vision with Everybody. And just anybody, even if they're your spouse. Sometimes God will show you something, right? And you got to hold on to that thing until God bring it to fruition. So the second time I saw the vision of me driving a school bus, I kept it to myself. Some things you can't share. Keep it to yourself. Because 9 times out of 10, nobody's going to believe you, especially if it's something that's way out there for them in their mind, but not for you because you've already seen the vision. I had to learn that. Keep your visions to yourself. So as I saw the vision, I kept going to work. I went out to Smart Hotel back then. Yes, downtown Charlotte on McDowell Street, Sheridan Hotel. There was a restaurant in there called Applebee's. And in that restaurant, I was the server. My sister Wanda Douglas, she was the one that got me connected. Man, she was so good. She was so good at serving. She taught me how to serve. And even now, when my husband sees me carrying 3 and 4 plates at a time, or 2 plates and a cup or something, you know, babe, why you won't ask me to do that for you? You know, I help you carry it because I'm so used to doing it. Because I served for several years, and it's in me, you know, carrying lots of things at one time. But you got to know your limit. So I was working at the at Adams Mart. I was going to say, well, it was Applebee's. I was working at Applebee's, right? Not like the food chain Applebee's, but it was a restaurant called Applebee's inside the Adams Mart Hotel. And I remember being at 3 months pregnant, and I got a pain in my stomach, right? And I heard in my spirit that I was to leave. But I told my boss, Eric, I'll never forget Eric. Um, Eric, I had a pain in my stomach. He said, okay, so come in the back, take orders, for room service. So I went back to the back to do the calls. They call it down there, they get the orders, take the orders, you give it to the chef maker, you prepare the tray, and then somebody takes it up. So I was sitting there and I got a pain again. Something said, leave. And I was like, no, this is the best. I'm saying within myself, God knows our thoughts are far off. This is what we taught. And I said, this is the best job I ever had. I'm not leaving. And that third time, my attention was drawn to the elevator. And it was like the elevator zoomed into my face. And I heard it again, clear as day. Leave. I called my boss, Eric, and I told him, I said, Eric, I have to go. I have to leave. He said, okay. I got my things together, got inside the elevator, went downstairs, and immediately when I walked out the doors, the pain left. I said, what? Okay, now what? Now what? Right? The something said, walk to the sidewalk. So I walked to the sidewalk. There's something said, cross the street. So I crossed the street. I said, okay, now what? It said, go into that building. It was that white building, go into the white building. I went into the white building. There was a security guard sitting there. And I said, what is this building? And he said, this is a education building. You go upstairs to the second floor to fill out an application for a job. And I said, oh my God. It was for the Charlotte Mecklenburg school system. The education building, downtown Charlotte. I walked into the building. I filled out the application. At 7 months, I was rolling up under that bus, identifying the air brakes, the chambers. Yeah, I was identifying parts on the bus. And so that vision came to pass because I listened to the something said. So my plea to you today is, in order to get where you need to be in life, you got to begin to listen to the something said, the intuition, your higher self, Christ consciousness, God consciousness. If the word of God says ye are gods, right? That means that we can be co-creators with God. It's like the ocean. And I explain this to people many times when I'm doing life coaching. It's just like the ocean. And this is a way for you to better understand God. You know, the ocean is there, it's vast, it's huge, right? And you, like that cup, if you take that cup and you scoop up some water, guess what? You don't have the ocean in that cup, but you have some of the water from the ocean. That's how I see spirit. God's breath that breathes through us every single day. That's God. That's God. Your spirit, man, is God. It might not be the God of this whole entire universe. However, if we are made out of or a part of God, and the word says ye are God, I believe that we should be co-creators with God. We breathe the breath of God every single day. There's a word in scripture that say God breathed into the nostrils of man and man became a living soul. So if God is spirit and God breathed breath into man and he became a living soul, just on that alone is enough to let you know that you are co-creator with God. But say, for instance, scientifically, you weren't made like that. Just say, for instance, you weren't made like that. That the God of the universe created us out of atoms. Stacked like Legos, he created us, our DNA. And we became the person that we are. Let's say that. It's still God that did it. Man didn't do that. Man didn't do that. And the only way we can co-create is through relations. We know that when a man lays with a woman and a woman has a child, right? That's something that we can't, we can't deny. We can't deny that. And if we're proclaiming that God created us, how did he do it? How did he do it? How did he make us? So become a life learner. Be the type of person that wants to learn more. Excuse me, y'all. My system just shifted when I said that. Yeah. So at the end of the day, be a life learner. Be the type of person that wants to know more, want to know how things work, the metaphysics of life, right? You want to know how things work. And metaphysics is practiced by many as a religion. It is basically an ethical belief system. It's unity, religious science, science of mind. These are examples of metaphysical religions. There are many who consider themselves metaphysicians, but attend no worship service. However, they live their lives every day in a metaphysical pattern. They live their lives in a metaphysical pattern. Why? Why is that important? Because you can't just go to work, go to church, and go home and think that that's enough. You need to know why you're here. You need to know your life purpose. And if you don't know what your life purpose is, you need to start connecting to the God of this universe and find out what your purpose is. Begin to write things down. Number 2, write things down. Write at least 10 things down that you really love to do. I was sharing with one of my clients yesterday. Write down 10 things that you desire to do. And out of those 10 things, you need to find out what are the things that you wouldn't mind doing every single day without getting paid. Before you learn how to monetize the thing that you do, what would you do every single day that you love to do before you get monetized by it? Right? Metaphysics has gotten a bad name in philosophy and was particularly attacked by Weddington and the logical positivists through the 1920s and 30s, right up through the 1950s. Metaphysics was used as a term of abuse in philosophy. That's important to know, don't you think? And why is metaphysics considered philosophy anyway? It's a branch of philosophy concerned with the nature of existence. Why are you here? Being and the world. So the nature of existence, why are you here? Your being, your physical being, and the world. Arguably, metaphysics is the foundation of philosophy. Aristotle calls it first philosophy, or sometimes just wisdom. We prime ourselves. We say, oh God, thank you for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Do you think it's just in one book? There's billions of books and knowledge and scripts and scrolls and stuff that you need to know of so you can make an educated decision about how you want to live your life. I had said one time before, what are you going to say to God when he say you haven't used the gifts and talents that you have? We're so busy being stuck on what other people are doing. They sleeping with, what they look like, what they dress like, how their hair is. You understand what I'm saying? We get disturbed by the stuff that we see. And I understand it. I get it. I'm a woman. I take pride in not showing my body to any and everybody. Flopping around the world with my body exposed. Treasure yourself. Learn more about that, how to preserve yourself. Single women, you're out here, you want to be married, but you run around with your boobs flopped out for everybody to see. Pardon the pun. You want and desire to have a man to treasure you, to love you and adore you, right? But mothers, we're not teaching our sons how to love and adore these women. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? We have to learn. We have to learn how to treasure ourselves. There's a word that says that your price is far above rubies. You look like anybody can have you. No, you don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. Yes, I had to be straightened out too. I tried it. I tried to be out there like that. I did. I never forget I went to this party. And I'll just say a young lady told me, she said, unbutton the top buttons so they can see that pretty bra. And it was a pretty pink lacy bra. But it had padding, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like they could see, but they can see. You understand what I'm saying? And then when I did that, this guy walks up to me and say, girl, I would suck your locks. Is that the most gross thing you want to hear? That's terrible. I don't want nobody looking at me like that. So that was the last time I did that. Okay. I don't care how quote unquote it's supposed to be. You can be sexy without showing yourself, exposing yourself. Let's learn about that. Be a life learner. If you're concerned about your children, right? You can pray, you can meditate, but you got to begin to speak what you desire to see instead of what you see. I learned that the hard way. I learned it the hard way. I was on my bus and I was crying out to God, begging and pleading God. And then that something said, just say thank you. Just say thank you. And the very thing that I thank God for, I'm doing today. Don't allow nothing and nobody to cause you to be in a box where you don't even understand why you're here. Yes, God is answering prayer. You praying and you asking God, and He's answering prayer because your heart's intention is in the right place. However, there's more to you. You're beautiful. You're talented. You're gifted. You have answers and solutions to the problems of this world. And I'm telling you that we need you. So I'm telling you that people are waiting on you to live your dreams, to become a life learner, to learn what it is that you need to do in order to make this world, this universe a better place. Now, I appreciate you all. for connecting with me here. However, I want you to go to my YouTube channel and I want you to subscribe to Phases of Life, Inspirational Entertainment, if you haven't done that already. I thank you so much for joining me here. Stay tuned. Let's continue to have these inspirational conversations about life, real life stuff from my own personal life. And I pray that I've given you something today that will help you move into your life to restore you back to yourself, knowledge of self. Don't try to be like anybody else. You're good enough. You are enough. You are abundant. And all of your abundance is inside, and you got to bring it out so we can solve the problems of this world, of this universe. My name is Tirzah Andrews. It has been my pleasure to be with you today. Have an amazing day, and always remember that you are the key to someone else's blessing. I love you. God bless you. Thank you so much. See you next time. I want to help you make it through the day. It's tea time. What you say, girl?